Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. First of all, I hope you're safe, healthy, and looking forward to this exciting discussion about data. Today we're going to talk about how makepositive, MuleSoft and Tableau can really help you unlock your data, analyze your data, and then action it to improve your business. I know it's such a hot topic for many recruitment companies, as well as other business and IT leaders today, and I'm really excited to be able to share our point of view. My name is Omar Paul. I'm the Director of Delivery and Customer Success at makepositive, and thrilled today to be joined by Justin Wilson and Andrew Davey from MuleSoft, Tableau's Regional Sales Director Felicity Starr, and also our very own Fabio, who heads up our integration practice at makepositive. So let's get started. Just before I go into the details of the webinar though, I just wanted to remind you that Salesforce is a publicly traded company, and we always recommend that clients make buying decisions based solely on the products and that are commercially available today. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now it's done. So let's get into today's discussion about data. So what are we going to go through today? Just a quick look at the agenda. I've got a couple of very quick slides to talk about some challenges in the recruitment companies are facing today. We'll talk a little bit about the industry, then we'll get straight into the detail of the webinar with Jason discussing integration with MuleSoft. Andrew and Fabio will then really bring to life how easily this can be done using MuleSoft, and how Tableau can help us to analyze and drive insights to ultimately deliver value. Felicity will then talk about the power of this data-driven approach, and she'll talk about a typical use case and specifically how Manpower Group have really put this into action. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the recruitment industry. Everyone's talking about it. COVID-19, the pandemic, has had an enormous effect on the recruitment industry, as it has for many other industries as well. We know, for example, from industry statistics that permanent recruitment was down by as much as 80%, and temporary recruitment down by 40%. These are staggering numbers. We've only just extended the furlough scheme, and surely after that, the impact will continue to be felt. In addition to this direct business impact, recruiters have had to really pivot the way they work. They've had to work now in a completely different working environment, remote from the office, which means remote from their colleagues who they really interact with, remote from clients who they really like to meet and greet, and remote from the all-important candidates as well, who really have that personal touch, who had that personal touch before COVID hit. And what this pivot really means is that not only digital technologies are more necessary, but really having the right data available for candidate communication is really, really important as well. So it's really important now to accelerate those projects that help recruitment companies work in this very digital world, in this remote world. So as you can see, recruitment firms have found themselves in this new norm, and it's a very pressured business climate, with all of those statistics that we just talked about. And there's a really urgent need for digital transformation. This, of course, is also a significant opportunity, and there is a huge opportunity to leverage the transformation element, the opportunity to transform, to really assist with these business challenges. There's a huge opportunity to use data and the insights within to really enrich that client and candidate communication. The objective really is to elevate the role of the recruiter to becoming more strategic rather than just someone who provides resources for work. So there are huge opportunities for growth driven by this data. But we do recognize that there are many barriers to recruiters, and one of the biggest barriers is how do we get this data out of all of these different systems? We have lots of systems accumulated over multiple years, including large back office systems like SAP and Oracle, homegrown CRM systems, as well as a myriad of recruitment tech, including paying and billing and job posting and timesheet systems. Data is sitting across so many different systems, and it's such an amazing asset today we really need to bring this together, and that's what we'll do today. So today we're going to show you how you can integrate all of your systems to leverage this very powerful data within. Unlocking data across all of these systems then leads to actionable insights, and that's what will really help you become a trusted advisor towards your candidates and the clients, and most certainly puts you in front and center of mind. So this is very much a human-led approach, and I think that's it's sometimes easy to forget in the day of technology. It's a human-led approach enabled by technology, and that's what becomes a key differentiator to allow you from being reactive to becoming proactive, and ultimately helps you to become that strategic partner of choice for your clients as well as your candidates. So it's very different to being a reactive supplier of resources, to now becoming a very proactive strategic sourcing partner. So the good news is that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, how the recruitment companies can now take advantage of their data and really accelerate their growth. So just before we get on to that, just a few very interesting statistics there actually. So insights-driven companies are leaders, and it's clear that businesses see a huge upside when they make insight-driven decisions. Pretty much all studies conclude the same things. 23 times more likely to add customers if you use insights in making your business decisions. 9 times more likely to retain customers, 19 times more likely to be profitable. I mean, these are staggering differentiators here. Obviously, executives understand this, and it's not a brand new concept, but I'm sure everyone's had similar thoughts. How can we get all of our data together, and how can I put my company in a good position to truly reap the rewards of this amazing data asset we have? Put simply, how can I get a piece of the pie? So let's just go through that very quickly. We've made it really, really simple for this webinar. 3 key steps. The first step is to integrate. Bring systems together through integration so that fragmented data comes together to deliver that useful business intelligence. We just talked about financial data sitting in one system, CRM data in another system, candidate information sitting on another system. We really need to bring all of these together so that we can do step number 2, which is analyze, and use really the available tools to derive insights, which can then both be used for market intelligence as well as internal intelligence. So for example, how do we reduce the time or cost to hire? Or how do we develop new services? It's not just about market intelligence, it's also how we can improve internally. And then finally, to act, create a more strategic client experience at scale, that digital experience, which is so crucial, and that personal touch, personalized experience with the candidates and bringing them together. So let's dive into the detail now on how MuleSoft helps to bring systems and data together, and how Tableau delivers insight to drive meaningful action in your business. So I'm going to hand over to Justin to really bring to life the power and ease of MuleSoft. So over to you, Justin.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you everybody for joining. I think you can see if you can achieve those 3 things, there's a fantastic opportunity to deliver on that. However, what we've been seeing is that our recruitment customers and partners consistently emphasize that integration, connecting systems and unlocking data across system, application, or device is critical to their success in delivering a connected client and candidate experience. So we all recognize that, but there's a catch. Integration seems to be hard and slow. In fact, according to our recent connectivity benchmark report, poor integration is the #1 reason why new initiatives fail. But why is integration so hard? Well, in fact, the typical business transaction in user journey crosses 35 different systems and applications. And that's at the heart of the problem. But that's only one dimension of the problem. That's just for one single journey. The second dimension is the sheer number of systems that a recruitment company uses today. I think you touched on this, Omar, but there's been an absolute explosion of new software as a service applications, new cloud applications, and recruitment companies have been breaking away from that traditional legacy monolith systems that they've had and subscribing to these new best of breed technologies, whether that's finance, HR, CRM, ATS, job posting boards, segmentation tools, social selling tools, and different ways of, obviously capturing that talent that's out there. all those different technologies are now starting to overlap with the current stack. It's resulted in those applications and data being everywhere. I mean, just think about it yourselves. How many different applications do you use in your day-to-day work? And you multiply that out across your whole organization. What we've typically seen, and speaking to many recruitment companies, that today only a third of those systems are currently integrated. So there's no wonder we're missing an opportunity here. Now, there is a third problem, and it's the sneakiest one, and that is actually, how do you integrate? You see, everyone wants to deliver new offerings to market faster and to keep up with that new demand and those new opportunities, and change and shift with the current situation with COVID. But traditionally, the way that organizations do that is by writing custom code. That can often seem like the easier path, right? You're in a hurry. It's going to be quick. It's easy. We're going to just point to point connect these two systems together. But the reality is just the opposite. Custom code is actually the enemy of speed and agility. Why? Well, it's brittle. It breaks easily, and you always have to go back and fix it. Secondly, it's understood by too few people, specialized technical resources. So it becomes a bottleneck for the organization, and it becomes very hard to change. It becomes rigid, and you get stuck and you can't evolve. Now, what does that mean for a typical recruitment organization? Well, actually, this is reinforcing all of the organizational and process silos that you already have. And when you want to bring in a new capability, a new market that you want to adopt, a new way of, putting out job postings out there, whatever it might be, it's incredibly hard and slow to unpick this tangled mess. So it's no wonder that things fall through the cracks, right? We don't take advantage of this data. Even simple things like candidate applications can go missing through this process when these systems are disconnected. And as time goes on and you continue to do this, you're adding to this legacy debt, and it becomes even more difficult to maintain. So when you put all these factors together, it's no wonder that integration ends up being so hard and slow, and it clearly doesn't scale. You can only really, with this type of approach, keep that connected candidate experience like a dream. So you're going to need a different approach. And well, MuleSoft, we believe there is a different approach, and we call it the composable enterprise. You can think about your organization as building blocks, a bit like Lego, with a nub on the top and a nub on the bottom. You can create business capabilities and connect those together, and you can move those around in the organization, reuse them. And these building blocks are APIs. And these APIs could be around candidate availability or client data. They can easily be understood, discovered, consumed, and used across the organization by different teams, and stop IT being the bottleneck to delivering speed and agility in the organization. By allowing organizations to create these connected experiences faster, we are able to increase the clock speed of your business completely. We call this approach API-led connectivity. And this loosely coupled architecture allows you to integrate new capabilities really, really quickly, provide simplicity, provide automation and reduce the manual processes in your organization, reduce the amount of external consultants you need to do this, provide new services quicker, and then also unlock that capability to cross-sell, whether that's in-house versus other types of recruitment, different markets, different propositions, different brands, providing that single approach and capitalizing on that full pipeline of opportunity. Now, I think you will agree this sounds fantastic, but what does this really look like? So I'm really pleased now to introduce Andrew Davey and Fabio Persico, who are going to help to bring this to life with a demo. So take it away, Andrew.
Thank you, Justin. What is API-led connectivity, and how is it going to help you? Typically, a business focuses on systems without considering the needs of the consumer. API-led connectivity turns this on its head. It's actually forget about systems. What information does your consumer need? So I'm working with Fabio, and Fabio has been tasked with building a recruitment dashboard inside Tableau. Tableau knows what data he needs to deliver the dashboard, and we want to surface this data to Fabio. Now, I don't really know how Tableau works, and Fabio really doesn't care about back-end systems. He just told me that he needs information from job boards, he needs the name and address of candidates, the salary information, and also the ability to track where they are inside the process. So where do we start with this? We start by defining an API, and the only job for this API is to deliver the information that Fabio needs in the format that he requires. Once we've done that, all we then do is push out data, sample data, so Fabio can start building before we've connected any of those back-end systems in. So working in parallel while Fabio's doing his dashboard, what the architects are going to do is how do we get the information surfaced from those back-end systems? Well, we need to connect to Broadbean, one of the job boards, and it could be other job boards as well, LinkedIn, etc. We've got our legacy CRM system, which has been a bottleneck inside the business because it was decades old, and there's only a couple of people in the business who understand it. We've got SAP. We're looking to replace SAP in the near future as well. So how do we connect that in without having a dependency if anything changes? And finally, the applicant tracking system. The first thing we do is say, okay, Broadbean, let's put an API in front of that. And the only job of that API is to transform data from how Broadbean holds it to how we want data to be held inside our recruitment agency. So forgetting about that model, that system enforced. The same with the CRM. We speak to our team who are experts in the CRM system, who are always the bottleneck. And for one time now, we transform that information from how that legacy system holds it, again, to how we want to model recruitment CRM information inside the business. As for SAP, we put an API in front. It uses a MuleSoft SAP connector. And again, that will transfer financial information from how SAP holds it to how we want it as a recruitment agency. And finally, the applicant tracking system. Same approach again. Let's transform the data from how it's held in there to how we want it inside the org. We've now got the flexibility that we can forget about those systems now. We have APIs that we can model, we can orchestrate together to build our business processes. So when Justin talked about the Lego effect, what we add in is a building block above this, a candidate 360. This is going to manage the process of getting that data together. It's going to orchestrate it. It makes a call into Broadbean API, doesn't understand the system, doesn't need to. It just knows that API will get the information it needs in the format that we want. Same call to the legacy CRM API, SAP API, and then the applicant tracking API. This process is orchestrated and now surfaces all the information we need inside a business process. The final step in this is to connect up the dashboard API that Fabio has been using. And now, rather than using the sample data, there's no impact to him whatsoever. It's just now going to flow in the real live data coming from each of these systems. And the great thing is as we build these, all these teams can work in parallel because we have a contract between each other. We know that for Broadbean, we know exactly how that information is going to be surfaced. So we can be building the Candidate 360 API, the dashboard API, the legacy API, all in parallel. But how do we think about these APIs? How do we categorize them? Although they're built using the same technology, using the same approach, it just helps to think, what is the focus of my API? What does it deliver? The dashboard API, that is focused on the experience of the consumer. Its job is to give the data in the format, in this case, that Tableau needs it. A process API doesn't understand anything about systems. It just knows what APIs in what order it needs to call to surface that information. And then finally, the system APIs. The only job in the world for a system API is to transform data from however any system, no matter it's a SaaS solution, on-premise, any solution whatsoever, into how we want to hold data inside the business. I'm now going to hand over to Fabio, who's going to give a demonstration of the information I've been surfacing from that HR systems. Fabio?
Hi, and thanks, Andrew. The first dashboard we have created is the recruitment open pipeline. It allows to monitor the open roles and recruitment process status. By looking at this dashboard, the hiring manager can find out how many are the open roles and candidates in the recruitment process. The main KPI at the top shows 10 open roles currently open with 105 active candidates. The map on the left shows the number of active candidates by office location. Most candidates are currently in London, Leeds, and Basingstoke. Also, there are more details on open roles by department and candidate details. Finally, a bar chart on the right showing the number of active candidates organized by the recruitment stage they are currently in. Let's have a look at our candidate pipeline in leads. Selecting leads on the map will filter the entire dashboard to only show us the candidate in leads. In leads, the candidates are interviewing mostly for sales role. 5 people are in the final interview process. And 1 person has now completed the interview and is now going through the application evaluation process. Clicking on the bar will show the candidate name information in the form here on the active candidates. The second dashboard I want to present is the recruitment hired candidate. It allows to look back on the hired people and the main performance indicators such as cost as time. Once again, the main KPI at the top is telling us that we have hired 55 people out of all the candidates with average time to hire of 53 days and average cost just under £4,000. When you hover over the office location, on the map, the tooltip displays more information on average cost to hire. Not surprisingly, the most expensive location to hire candidates is London. It also takes more time to hire in London than, for example, in Leeds. We can also see the average time to hire KPI at the top when changing selection to Leeds. By looking at this dashboard, the hiring manager could wonder, with the current situation where the vast majority of global workforce is working from home, is it worth it to continue to focus on our hiring effort and expenditure on London? Is there a way in which we can reduce costs and look at other cities that are cheaper for us to hire, but ultimately just as successful in regards to quality hire? Whilst we are looking to better understand where location-wise we should be focusing our time and investment, we also should look at our talent sourcing strategy to determine where we should be increasing our effort and investment to drive further quality candidate application. In particular, Birmingham looks like it could be an interesting city, as our cost per hire is significantly more cost-effective to that of other regions, while our candidate quality still looks strong. However, we can see that none of our applicants are coming through job boards. Is there an opportunity we are missing? By understanding our talent sourcing strategy, we will be able to use insight to make better data-driven decisions on how and where we should advertise job roles to drive quality candidates for our client. Finally, the hiring manager wants to ensure he is on target to reach their business goals of having more diverse scorecards. As we can see, our male to female is actually pretty good, but I wonder how that looks. Across different roles across the business. Actually, overall, the agency has helped recruit a significant amount of female hire across a number of management and senior leadership roles. However, is there a way to increase the diversity of ethnicity across the applicants? Looking at the analysis, I can see that we have a diverse group of ethnicity. However, I do feel that there is more we can do. This is certainly an analysis that should be a top of topic discussion, and we should go back to see our job spec description, what we need to change, how and where we are posting this in order to continue our drive for a more diverse workforce and applicants. However, the head of HR mentioned that it would be interesting to understand the quality of hires by comparing the employee performance against the cost to hire them. Therefore, I will need Andrew to provide the related information in the existing API. Can you please proceed, Andrew?
Thanks, Fabio. Justin mentioned the demands on IT are ever increasing, and I know Fabio has a requirement, but we also have an IT backlog of projects. So Fabio wants to plug into the HR system. In this case, we're using the employed contractor model, so it's going to be our own HR system. But if you're using recruitment processing outsourcing model, then it could be your client's HR system. We're also been asked to add advanced careers service to candidates. We're offering insights into their career progress, marketing insights, all differentiators they don't get from other recruiters. And we're launching a new web app and mobile app to deliver this. And finally, I mentioned earlier that there's a plan to move away from SAP to Sage. So how can we do that migration and all these projects work in parallel? So this is where we left before, that we delivered the information into Tableau. But when we look now is we need to launch those web app and mobile app channels as well. So with the web portal, what we need to do is surface candidates' information so they can self-serve through that portal. And we start by creating an API, and with an experience API, focus on the consumer. It's going to deliver the data in how the web portal team need that information. But we're not starting again to surface that candidate information. We're just going to reuse those Lego building blocks we've had already. So quite simply, we just plug in that web app API to reuse and discover that process API for Candidate 360. So rapidly, we can deliver this project, and we don't need to speak to the legacy team on CRM or the SAP team. All the information surfaced in that process orchestration API. Same goes for the mobile app team. They need information in a slightly different format than the web app team. So we create an API and experience API, and that transforms the data to how they need it. But it's the same process again. We just plug in and reuse that Candidate 360 API. And these teams can work in parallel. So we're now giving the ability of different teams across the business to self-serve without needing to understand how those systems work at the back end. And for IT, we need to move away from SAP. Now, typically, this would impact all our consumers. We'd have to speak to the web portal team, the Tableau team, the mobile app team, and say, you need to make changes to your applications. But as we've decoupled the architecture, what we can do is, as we remove SAP and replace it with our new SaaS solution in Sage, we create an API. Now, the API this time, it's going to transform the information out of Sage, but to the same model that we've defined inside the recruitment organization. So there's no impact to any other system or any of our consumers, really moving towards a plug and play approach where we can take advantage of the latest SaaS solutions. And lastly, I come to Fabio. Fabio needs information out of our HR system. Well, guess what? We just create an API. And that API will transform the information from how it's held in that HR system into how we want to hold it inside the organization. Meaning that if we do switch to another HR system in the future, fact is that we don't really care because it's not going to impact any of our consumers. And Fabio's going to get the information in the format he wants, irrespective of that solution. So we just plug it in to our Candidate 360. So it gets that extra enriched information that now we pass back into Tableau. So I'm going to hand back to Fabio now to show you how he's modeled that data. Fabio?
Thanks again, Andrew. We have seen data on candidates that are in the recruitment process and those that we have already hired through the agency. However, as requested by the head of HR, we want now to understand the quality of hires. In order to do this, I will switch into edit mode so that I can show you how to quickly create a new analysis based on the new data coming now from the integrated HR system provided by Andrew via the existing MuleSoft API. Let's start by looking at the employee performance rating, and let's add to the new analysis the employee name, the performance rating, and let's order by performance rating. Let's add if the contract has been extended, and let's highlight with a different color. We can quickly see some interesting information. Some employees with good rating of 3 did not have their contract extended. Why is that? let's also add to this analysis the cost to hire. And let's order by the cost to hire. And here we can see now that some employees who were the most expensive to hire did not have their contract extended. So we need to ask ourselves why. Additionally, some of the most expensive hires that were made were also some of our least performing, but the client extended their contract. Immediately, this generates further question as to why is that? It also helps to start to investigate as to what changes we need to make in order to address this issue, as we only want to provide our clients with the best candidates. Overall, with a few simple drag and drops, we've been able to generate an holistic view of the agency work to date against the HR performance data that has helped underline exactly and how and where we are adding value. There is obviously an area in which we can work together on, but overall, we are providing a pretty valuable service. And by using data, we will be able to deliver more strategic conversation and better understand how we can further help and support the client. As you can see here, with the help of Andrew enriching the Candidate 360 API via adding a new HR system and a couple of clicks on Tableau, and thanks to the MuleSoft API LED and Tableau self-service capability, we've been able quickly to get all the information available and answer all our client questions. Now I'm going to hand over to Felicity to further discuss Tableau and requirement specific. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just finding the buttons to stop muting and share my screen and all that good stuff. Could I have a nod that you can see my mountains? Perfecto. That must mean that you can now see Tableau. Great stuff. So thanks Fabio and team. Thanks for bringing it to life. The one thing that I've pulled out from that demo is how easy Tableau is to use. It is a real drag and drop functionality, which means everybody can have a go. I myself have been having a go with how much I spend on Amazon, which is a frightening data set to play with, but you're all welcome to go and speak to Amazon and get that, get them to give you your data and have a play. So thanks for bringing Tableau to life. Our mission is very simple, but it's also really, really powerful. We help people see and understand data, and everything that we do is rooted in this phrase. Essentially, we're using data to break through business silos and to drive better informed decisions. And we have a real belief in achieving analytic ubiquity, i.e. everybody having the access, everybody being able to drag and drop and make better decisions faster. So this is Tableau. But why Tableau in recruitment? Well, we all know that data is more relevant than ever in the recruitment industry, especially given our economic climate. I noted the other day that the Bank of England are forecasting unemployment rate to hit 7.5% by the end of the year. And I think this is probably also due to the government scaling back its furlough system. But what this means is it's creating this unfortunate scenario whereby there's going to be an increased, hugely competitive market, both for the candidate and then also for the recruiter. And the results being that it's going to be even more competitive, and therefore there's going to be a need to be even more cost effective in running businesses. And there's going to be a need to be even more innovative and to be faster paced in business. And this boils down to the fact that we need to be able to be using our data to be in the forefront and make sure that we are delivering and succeeding. But how do we do this? I'm not telling you anything new, right? We know we're in a very difficult economic climate, and we know that the recruitment market is a place for great opportunity, but also very difficult as well in terms of competitive. We believe at Tableau, the way to better yourself and to be delivering better services, products, etc., is to do so with analytics as a service. Now I'm going to try my best to explain what this is and how relevant this is for you guys in recruitment. And I'm going to do this by separating analytics as a service into 3 buckets, because all of our customers across all of our verticals are actually looking to see how they can use and provide analytics as a service to make sure that they are indeed improving their cost base, or lowering their cost base rather. So the first bucket is really about new revenue streams. So are you monitoring service from the start? And if so, how will you do this? We see a lot of our customers are using Tableau through a tiered service, whereby they're monetizing data assets and functionality. Second one is about value add. So are you getting your clients to be facing in with your analytics, and are you using those analytics to win new contracts? Or is it more important to use a service to retain your customers and your clients? Remember, in the beginning of this webinar, we talked about some of the really, really impressive, formidable stats with regards to how using data can improve your business. One of which was that you are 9 times more likely to retain customers if you're using this data-driven approach. The third bucket we call business instigator, is where you really use your analytics as the hook to drive other solutions, products or services, i.e. how you are using analysis and data to determine your value and your proposition to help you determine, or help your customers determine why use you. There's a few determines there in that sentence, bit of a tongue twister. Right, so moving on then, how do we do this? If we understand what we're trying to achieve, why and how do you really create this data-driven culture? Well, you need to have this thing called data ubiquity, which I've spoken about on every single slide. We really need to be driving analytics into every corner of our organizations. And this is why and how we can help, because at Tableau, we offer such flexibility and choice. Tableau fits into everybody's data strategy, very flexible, and we can adapt to the environment with choice. And also the best thing is that we're super fast. You know, we've seen customers deploy Tableau in an instant. You can go to Tableau's website right now, just download it for free for 14 days and really have a play. We've seen customers go from concept to market in the recruitment space to over 100 clients in 4 days. So 100 clients, 4 days, delivering real business benefits. It's really, really fast paced when you look at some things in terms of how you actually drive business change. Secondly, it's through the use of this, well, I guess if you are driving data ubiquity, you're going to need to have a real focus on governance and security. Because with more people using data, you're going to be in a critical position whereby you need to govern and make sure that people are using data responsibility to create sort of this context of trust and confidence. And with Tableau, we can help you do that. We can help you with who has access to where and what reports are being run, etc. And finally, a real benefit of working with Tableau is all about the platform and the technology that supports it. Tableau provides a complete integrated analytics platform with no hidden complexity. When you compare perhaps Tableau out there in the market, you'll see that our VisQL, i.e. the technology underneath the platform, means that there's no hidden cost, there's no third-party challenges that you may need to gain visibility to data. Whatever the data is, whatever state it's in, you can get it into Tableau with the help of MuleSoft and makepositive. So, all right, we've seen how Tableau can help analyze and then drive new insights, perhaps insights you didn't even know you had from your business and from your data. And we've looked at how MuleSoft can integrate your data, your said data. Now let's get to the fun part and look at a customer who has brought this all to life and really used data to transform their business. With a few clicks, integrate, analyze, and act. Here we are, Manpower Group. Great customer story. I love this one, quite simply because it is a great summary of everything that we've spoken about. They really needed to develop a data-driven business. They needed to create business review documents enable to drive their business forward, have those conversations. And Manpower Group, like many of us or many organizations that I've certainly worked with, had stores and stores of data, and they wanted to use it to better serve their customers. Now, that's nothing new, but how do you actually access it, etc.? Business users within Manpower were very used and accustomed to developing ad hoc reports. So there was little consistency, and they were running on anecdotal insight rather than using consistent data streams. With Tableau, Manpower standardized its analytics efforts and increased the speed and quality of the business review documents, which has enabled really strategic conversations in turn, i.e. increasing their business and reducing their costs, which is the nirvana really. Costs have been largely reduced if we get specific into how the reports were being run, because previously the IT team didn't have the right tools. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and often we're ending up in a bottleneck. Whereas now it's at pace, it's real time, everybody has access. And to put that into numbers to make it really relevant, the old process would take 5 people within IT, and it would take 3 weeks to create one single document. So 5 people, 3 weeks, one document. Now it takes 2 people, and then they can create 50 client reviews in one day. Those numbers don't even compare. And it's up and running and working really well. So that's why Manpower is one of my favorite stories, because it's a real story of excellence and success, which is open to everybody if we work together. So with that, I will pass on to, who am I passing on to now? I'm passing on to Omar. Thank you.
Sorry, I was just doing the classic unmute yourself in a Zoom conference again. Thank you,
It's
Felicity.
fun, isn't it?
Really enjoy that. So we've just walked through how, first of all, MuleSoft can help you unlock and integrate your data across all those applications. Justin and Andrew, thank you so much for bringing that to life. And you can see how MuleSoft's power comes from its ability to create this matrix of APIs that connects everything together. In a nutshell, it allows you to free your data so that it can be analyzed. And a great case study there, Felicity, as well, by Manpower Group. I love how the dashboards that Fabio showed, you can actually not just about creating the data on those dashboards, but actually, can you imagine the user experience, being able to click on information and drilling down into what really they want to focus on. So all really good, powerful stuff. So really just wanted to mention, Tableau lets you tap into this amazing asset that you have. MuleSoft helps to bring all of that data together in the background. Of course, it's always good then to lean on experience and expertise during such a transformation, because it is transforming the way you would work. So, it's always good to lean on experience and expertise. MakePositive is here to help you on this journey. We can really help you integrate your systems, help you unlock that data, drive insight for your business. We've been recognized as UK's #1 boutique partner as well, and have a dedicated integration practice. Fabio actually heads that as well. So as you can see, after having delivered 1,500 or so projects with a great CSAT rating as well, we can really help you transform your business. We know what it means to transform your business, not just deliver a technical solution. So we appreciate it's a lot more than just technology. So this is where MakePositive can actually help bring those items together and really help you as a business. So a bit of a recap, let's remember those 3 steps. Integrate, readily access data wherever it lives, in the myriad of systems that you may have, and then analyze to drive those insights to use not just for market intelligence, but also internal intelligence to actually improve your business. Typical, the case study which Felicity just went through for Manpower Group, very, very powerful, a great transformation. And then to create a more strategic client experience at scale, being able to communicate with clients and candidates in a way which is personalized, is human-led, but founded on some very powerful technology. So you can quickly become that strategic partner that we talked about, not just someone who provides resources, being that trusted advisor. So on that note, I just wanted to say thank you again to our presenters, and thank you for everyone for your time today. I'll stop sharing my screen. We've had a few questions come through as well. So I'll stop sharing the screen so we can now get on to the questions and answers. If we're unable to answer your question today because of time constraints, we'll certainly get back to you with the answers. So nothing will be left out. So on that note, back to the panel. So I'll just stop sharing.
Thanks very much, Omar. Thank you to all of our presenters. We've had a few questions come in. I'd just like to remind everyone, if you do have a question, just type it out into the chat option. We'll try to get through all of them. This first question that we have is for Andrew, and it is, what happens if I need a mixture of real-time and historic information?
So I'm guessing that means from a Tableau perspective. So with Tableau, I mean, and you can point it at a data store or data warehouse and build reports against that. But if there is requirements, such as the one with Fabio's, that we need more real-time information, not just what was the picture look like yesterday, then actually you can also call an API as well. So you could do both. So you mix them in, saying, okay, I need the latest information, pull that into the warehouse and model it immediately. So you can, it depends on the use case, but you can mix and match appropriately. And there's no impact to Fabio. He doesn't care. He just says, I want the information immediately. We use the API. If not, just use the data warehouse. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. I think this next one is for Omar. It's, how does makepositive approach projects like this?
Thank you, Lee. So makepositive is an implementation partner. So what we do is actually work with recruitment companies and businesses to establish what your business objectives are right from the very beginning. What is it that you need this data for? What kind of systems do you have? We almost do a bit of a discovery session. From that discovery, we move on to building out a design, a definition of what's really going to benefit the business. We set out measures of success and we agree with you on moving forward. Then we go into pretty much an agile approach where we actually build out the solution, work with you as a business, making sure everyone's getting what they need, make sure it's relevant to the right users, make sure that we are transforming that client experience, making sure we're delivering that personal touch for the candidates as well. So we go through this agile methodology, after which there's obviously a very thorough QA and testing involved before we would unleash that to the users. So yes, there's a structured methodology, and having done this a few times, we also are very conscious of the change management aspects that need to happen. So people will be faced with new technology. It is complex quite often, but it can make a world of a difference. So how do you get people using this, adoption, engagement? So we work on all of that in parallel as well. So yeah.
Great, thanks, Omar. This next question, I believe, is for Felicity. Is, how is Tableau different to other tools in the market?
Thank you. Working my mute button again. Well, how do we compare to the market? Well, there's a few of us out there. I guess when considering Tableau, personally, I try to boil it down to 3 areas. The first one being that our mission at Tableau is to help people see and understand data. That's so important. That's all we're about. We are living and breathing data and getting the analysis from it. There's other companies in the market that maybe have other focus areas as well, but by default, because we're all about the data, that's where our innovation goes, that's where our R&D goes, and that's where our thought leadership goes. The second one, I think I mentioned actually in the presentation, but it's about the underlying code from the technology. So yes, great, it's easy to use, but what makes it so powerful is that we are visual analytics. We're not data visualization. You know, you're plugging and playing and you're really taking insights immediately at pace. And this is because of the technology underneath, which is what we call the VisQL. So we're all about the data. We've got phenomenal technology on the platform. And then the third and probably the most important is the community. So we have an amazing customer community out there with people sharing best practices, how to get the most out of it. You know, there's a real sort of camaraderie almost, like a tribe of people working on Tableau and there to help. So that means to customers it becomes quite easy to use if you ever fall in some questions or need for some help. So yeah, that's Tableau. We're all about the data.
Great, thank you for that. All right, we've got another one. I think this one will be for Andrew again. What happens if I already have some of the data exposed via APIs?
That's good, because we're all about getting the data, so that's a good thing. If you've already got the data exposed with APIs, I mean, as an architect, I'd love to work on greenfield sites where everything's brand new, but that's not the reality. If you've got something exposed via APIs already, I mean, and the question is, if it does exactly what the business do, then don't replace it. Just reuse it. There's no point in pulling anything out and replacing it with other tech just for tech's sake, unless it's adding business value. So if we looked at the diagram I went through earlier on, is that it just becomes another Lego building block, irrespective of the technology underneath. Is it something else we plug into? So we want to plug and play to all your existing assets. Don't replace anything. Let's just reuse them, but have that ability to orchestrate them in different processes to allow different consumers and different channels to onboard rapidly and make use of those assets. Hopefully that. Right.
Great, thank you, Andrew. We've got another one that I think would go to one of our Tableau specialists who's on the line. It says, do I need MuleSoft to effectively use Tableau?
Right, okay, so I can take this one. So the answer to this question is it depends. So in Tableau, we have a number of native connectors. So you can connect directly to databases such as SQL Server, for example. You can connect to different types of flat files, and there's a number of applications that you can connect to directly as well, in which case, no, you do not need MuleSoft. Having said that, I think more and more often we see customers who try to connect either to some legacy systems, for example, or they try to connect to multiple applications at once, in which case you'd probably be much better off using MuleSoft. And then that way you'll be able to just utilize it much more effectively.
Great, thank you for that. We have one more question. This again would be for Andrew, I think. How do MuleSoft and Tableau ensure security, governance, and compliance of data?
Security, always a fun subject. If we go back to the diagram again, I mean, we had 3 different consumers of information. We had Tableau that was internal by Fabio. We were also experiencing information via the web portal and mobile app. Well, that Lego approach we take is that each one of those building blocks can be secured differently. So for internally, it could be using the local LDAP system. For external, it could be via authorization, username and password when they sign up for access. Really, you've got the complete flexibility at every level. And if anything changes, there's no impact. You don't have to rebuild the APIs. You just change your policies. So as security enhances, you can add more and more policies against that and at every level. So it's security in depth. It's not the old approach that you have a gateway protection at the edge of your network. Now you've got customers, consumers, clients interacting with your company directly. So you want to make sure that every level, everything's secured and governed. And as well as that, I know with Tableau as well is encrypting that data as well. So the option is to encrypt all that data as it's in transit or at rest. So really around security, I mean, it's a huge topic in itself, but the first and foremost is security is the first thought. And as you design them, the security is put in place.
Great, thank you, Andrew. At this point, that wraps up all the questions we've gotten. So I'll hand this back over to Omar to close us out.
Yeah, just once again to say thank you to all of our presenters, Andrew, Fabio, Felicity, Justin, and thank you, Lee, for organising this as well. And thank you to everyone for your time today, your questions. Please do feel free to get in touch. You probably have our contact details across makepositive, MuleSoft and Tableau. We're always here to help. Please feel free to get in touch, and thank you once again for your time.